I have had many criticisms and even outright furious oppositions on various videos over the years, and I try to take on the constructive stuff. I used to say what I'm about to say in every video where it was applicable, but I found that disclaimers tend to lose viewer interest very quickly, and for that, YouTube will inflict upon me much suffering. I am not an electrician or an electrical engineer. I'm not an electronics specialist of any kind. I'm an aging IT admin turned software engineer of 2 decades who's collected a passable level of knowledge about quite a few things, and even some skills along the way. I like to research things and then make videos. I just happen to lean more toward smart home things than originally intended, but that's a whole different thing. I will occasionally make mistakes or misguided but well-intended decisions, which brings me to the video that sparked more controversy than when I revealed that I was a Zigbist. Shelley and I had a short-term collaboration for a series of videos covering their products. It's not especially relevant that we were collaborating, but it's the reason for the video itself. The video I'm talking about is this one, about selecting and installing various Shelley in-wall relays. This video had a lot of firsts behind the camera, and also the camera. It was the first time working with new equipment, the first time collaborating with a manufacturer, the first time I had a cameraman, and the first time I had an editor. It was also the last time for those last 2 things, at least up to this point. At that time, I was simultaneously planning and shooting 4 other videos because some of the objects being used for that shoot were used in other shoots. We were rapidly disassembling and reassembling several prop boxes and having to improvise quite a bit. This is all only relevant because it created some of the strain on my focus and changed my priorities from moment to moment. There are 2 things some folks seem to be genuinely offended or upset by in this video: my use of Wagos and the way I was screwing wires into terminals. The Wago argument, as I understand it, is based on the idea that Wagos don't perform well under high current. However, the kind of current we're talking about would also be a problem for the wire nuts, and the wires themselves, in fact. Allow me to quote directly from Wago of the splicing connectors used in the video. Wago 221 series connectors are 40% smaller, connect various conductor types, have transparent housing, 2 test ports, and are rated up to 32 amps and 450 volts. So, your mom. Not every person opposed to the Wagos was simply suffering from Europhobia or progressive cowardice. There was one person who had 2 issues, and one was absolutely valid. It just wasn't the Wago one. I had improper box fill. This is not because most people would, but because of the box type I was using. There is a limit to how much airspace within the box you are allowed to consume. Most people will be under that limit installing a relay from Shelley because they take 2 conductor volumes of space in accordance with the NEC calculation rules, which I'm not covering in this video, but feel free to go research it. The NEC, or NFPA 70, is freely accessible online. Reference Article 314, Section 16, Subsection B, Paragraph 4. The really big issue that was absolutely leapt upon by a few people who are passionately trying to protect the general population from perceived danger is the way I screwed wires into the various components. The thing I actually did wrong, and this is in violation of NEC guidelines admittedly, was hooking some of the wires counterclockwise. This violates Article 110, Section 3, Paragraph B. I also didn't measure the torque applied, so I could be in violation there as well. There are a few reasons this can lead to problems, the biggest of which is that the wire is ever so slightly tugging the screw loose over time, especially with large thermal variations. The wire moves ever so slightly, the building around it moves ever so slightly, doors are slammed, causing vibration, and so on. Copper has a certain elasticity to it. You can push against it and it will to some degree push back. The opposite is of course true of pulling on it. In addition to working against the screw during tightening, relaxing, and thermal deformation, the wire will tend to ride the outer edge of the terminal screw and possibly the terminal plate. When the wire is hooked in the direction the screw tightens, it's like winding a garden hose up in a reel. Everything involved gets tighter. But if you try to unwind the reel with the crank, everything bunches up. Now, these things take time, which can also lead to them going unseen and forgotten, which is why some people were concerned and brought it up. One person commented on this and just kind of moved on. Thank you, John. Another commented and dropped a respectfully at the end, which I took as genuine and more or less a younger generation version of John's comment. Sorry, John. And thank you, Mr. Ada McArleton. Then there's Mike. I don't think this was a super disrespectful post or anything, but I do feel like there may have been some level of overreaction. I took a long time to ponder the motivation behind the words and maybe the state of the mind of the writer at the time. Not that it makes it any less impactful, but the reason I did what I did was not a lack of safety knowledge, but rather a cleaner visual and keeping the wires closer together. I made the decision to prioritize the shot, which was my mistake. Asking me to add a disclaimer threw me a little, but this was partly because I'm a YouTuber and I look at disclaimers as mostly unseen, unwanted, and often ignored. In a video, it can be repellent depending on delivery, and in the description, most people probably won't bother looking. So even if I were motivated to do so, I don't think it would really matter much. The last line, like the opening dude and the plea to attach a disclaimer, feels heavier than it should. I don't want this to come off as a complete excuse, but the thesis to me was not how to tighten a wire, but where the wires go. People should hook their wires clockwise, but a video explaining an IoT device should not be the first source of instruction on using a screw terminal. I know some people may still do so, which is why I decided to do this video instead of writing a small novella in the comments. I'm going to put a link to this video in the description of that video and refer to it as a wiring caution, as well as eventually linking to some other videos on other basics that I'll be making over the next few months. Now, despite easily being the biggest issue I could see from a third-person perspective, the counterclockwise screw may not have been the only spark of scandal. There are two other things I think a couple people may have actually been talking about: ferrules and the line and ground in the 2-switch demo. As far as the ferrules, it's solid core copper wire. Cut it snug and get over it. As far as the 2-switch demo, you should not have 2 incoming lines in this scenario. I had the extra line because when we were setting the thing up, my brain wanted symmetry. If you do have 2 lines in and loads out, always keep the circuits in their own lanes, so to speak. Don't tie the hots and don't just rely on one for both loads. It would have had only one line to begin with if that was all right. I suppose you might be able to argue lowering the rated use by switching to more efficient fixtures and dropping one of the lines as possible, but I'm not actually sure that's okay either. I will probably do a series on the NEC at some point, just as a point of interest thing, but I am also trying to get an electrician to work with me on future videos, so there's a guarantee of safety and attention to these sorts of concerns. Electrical system modification is only part of the channel's content, so bringing in a consultant is feasible. So I guess in summary to Mike's concern, and anyone else who are afraid of the absolutely dimmest of wits watching my video and setting their house on fire, I hear you. Your points are absolutely valid. Please do not install with engine running was an actual manufacturer printed warning on a fan belt I bought for a car many years ago. You know, when cars had fans that had their own belts. The point is, I know stupid and careless is out there waiting to strike, but I also think that the people that watch my videos are smart enough not to do the intuitively bad things, even if they don't know specific information about the subject. I know that's not a guarantee, which is why I'm making this video and why I'm consulting with a consultant. Another thing I used to always say in my videos was that people should always have at least 3 sources of any information they're putting any kind of effective trust in. I don't think anyone will die because I hooked a couple wires counterclockwise, but it was a mistake. A little one, but that's going to happen. I'm also a solo YouTuber. Even if I was a professional, I would make little mistakes, just in front of a different audience, and the mistakes could only be understandable at that level of knowledge. I try to improve with every video in some way. I experiment with lights, camera angles, set pieces, presentation approaches, topics, all kinds of things. I can absolutely take criticism, and I will absolutely be open to learning previously unknown or incorrectly absorbed facts, with verifiable proof. I will try to be more mindful that everything isn't a prototype. When I'm focused on what the thing it needs to do or is doing, I often shortcut to get to the exciting bit, knowing I'll make it right when it's not a prototype or prop. That's something I'm working on. Creating a channel and making videos is rewarding as a creative endeavor, but it's also a lot of effort and time. I know asking people to put more thought into their choice of words or to critically assess a given situation is more or less ineffective in real life, let alone on the internet, but for those of you who may be capable, step back and consider it. Step back and consider that the person on camera is just as human as you. If we all took it down a notch, I think we'd look around and see neighbors instead of adversaries, and maybe we'd be more capable of collective reasoning. That's my 2 cents on the matter, which probably doesn't matter, but if you're still here, I appreciate your minutes. We're all allotted an unknown supply of minutes, and I appreciate that you shared some of yours with me. I also hope you'll join me in a more tech-filled video when I resume exploring smarter circuits.